Hello everyone and welcome back to another Without Defeating a Badnik. It's been a while since we've done this challenge, huh? If this is your first time watching a video in this series, here's how it works. The idea is for me to play a Sonic game from beginning to end without defeating an enemy in the game. I can use anything that doesn't include outside cheat codes or the use of a debug mode, so it's pretty much any means necessary. This time we are attempting this challenge in Sonic Lost World. Hey, we're doing a 3D game for once. The rules are pretty simple. I can't defeat a Badnik, which means making physical contact with an enemy that can be defeated in one hit, earning points, and releasing the animal in said enemy. Doing so will force me to restart the level. The other rule is that I need to fight any and all bosses and mini-bosses that I come across. I would say if the music changes, it's fair game, but some have taken that and assumed that the invincibility music would count as well. This only applies to bosses. So if it's a mini-boss or a boss, that's fair game. For this run, I will be using the PC release of Sonic Lost World because I don't own a Wii U, which actually might be a positive in how long this challenge takes. For the uninformed, the console and PC version of Lost World will require you to collect a set number of animals to unlock the later levels. I haven't played enough of the 3DS version to tell if that's the same case, so I'm just going off of what I know. This can be done by defeating Badniks and opening capsules for both games. The Wii U version also includes a minigame and the DLC to collect more, but the downside is that the animal requirement is much higher. One more thing to mention, other creators have been bringing up percentages of people who watch and aren't subscribed to the channel, so to the 86% of you out there, all I ask is that if you do enjoy the content, can you do me a solid and subscribe? You'll be able to get more of these videos when they release directly to your sub boxes, and if you want them in your notifications, click that bell icon. With that long introduction out of the way, let's answer the important question, can you beat Sonic Lost World without defeating a Badnik? Let's find out. Windy Hill Act 1 is your standard first level, so there really isn't much in the way of enemies. I will note that I do have animals because I did go to the capsules. This is the thing I'm going to have to be doing throughout the run, so if you do see an animal count while I'm in here, that's why. Can I say how much that I love levels that take place at sunset? Act 2's Orbinauts are the first enemy formation that requires me to damage boost since this is a 2D level. There are 3 of them at the start, followed by a Snail Blaster. Just keep an eye on the ring count. After that you fight Zaz and Act 2 is finished. Act 3 isn't much to write about either. You will need to let these bat brains pass through before continuing. But the great thing about 3D is that not all enemies need to be dealt with. After a neat Laser Wisp segment, Act 3 is over. Act 4 is more of the same. You're in a 3D space and the enemies can be completely avoided to move forward. It even shows why the Orbinauts are more challenging in 2D. The 2D section is mostly a cakewalk. The Caterkillers can be avoided with Sonic's floaty jump, so they're not much of a problem. The real fun begins is this section with the Motobugs. With all of Sonic's maneuvers, I cannot use any of them to get past these enemies, so it seems like we're actually done here. 4 levels in, huh? It's pretty lame to end a run on this. So here's what you actually do. Lose a couple of lives until this warp power-up shows up. This is our solution to the impossible areas in Sonic Lost World, and it will take you to the next checkpoint, or to the capsule if you're at the very last checkpoint. And believe it or not, the next checkpoint is the race with Zaz, so we can move on. Windy Hill is done. Desert Ruins Act 1 isn't that bad. It's a 3D section, so even the surprise Crawltons aren't a big issue. Anything moving in the first 2D section is either going to kill you or is the only grabber. The next 3D section has nothing to worry about, and even the Orbinauts that are throwing fire aren't much of an obstacle. Just be careful of the Crawltons. After that are even less noteworthy 2D and 3D sections to finish off the level. I think the third dimension is giving me an unfair advantage. Act 2 is an auto-runner level. When you're in the air, dodge the Valkyries, and when you're running, dodge these Galaga Bees and Blasters. Wait, Galaga Bees? Oh man, I love that name. It was easy, for the most part. I got to a segment near the end where I wanted to jump over the bees, but the gravity kept sending me into them when I jumped. Turns out all I had to do was turn at the very last moment. After that is the fight with Zamam, and the level is done. This one was frustrating, but it was more on the part of user error than actual challenge. Act 3 isn't difficult either. All I had to do was lure the Motobugs away from each other, jump over the robot ants, and damage boost through the Buzz Bombers. Any real obstacle aside from the Buzz Bomber can be avoided with an alternate route. And at the end of it... Oh crap! It seems like they're not defeated, so the act is done. Act 4 is all 2D. It's not super difficult unless you're me and you missed the capsule. The only thing that continues to fail this challenge is the tornado following me. Dude, start over. After the checkpoint, the Yellow Wisp section is next. Now, enemies will pop up, and I took the easy way out and used the warp power-up again. I just had a weird feeling that there will be some kind of dead end, so I wanted to avoid that. Unfortunately, I would need to do it again since there's this group of 3 motobugs on 3 tiny platforms. There was no way I was going to make it on any of these platforms, even with damage boosting. After that is the Battle of Zamam, and we're done! Tropical Coast Act 1 is another really easy level. The main bulk of Badniks pop up at the start, but the middle of the stage lets me play around with the wall running. Oh god! So yeah, it's a walk in the park. Walk on the beach. In Act 2, all you have to do is guide the apples. Not even the haunted watermelon can stop. See what I mean? The second to the last section is unfortunately littered with motobugs. I can't get through them without defeating them, so I gotta skip. After a fight with Master Zik, we're done. What? I totally knew his name. Act 3 and oh boy, it's this one. Sorry, I just love these levels. It's another super easy level, but I just want to gush about it. There's just something about the background and this beautiful piece of music, sea bottom segue, that makes me kind of sad whenever this level is over. I just love it so much. On top of that, it's exhilarating when you can hop from rail to rail at higher speeds. It's great. Okay, I'll move on. Act 4 sucks. Okay, I know I had to make physical contacts with Badniks for me to restart the level, but look at this. I'm honestly gonna count this, because just look. I'll need to use the warp. After that, trying to judge my jumps in this 2D section when it warps like this is really weird. Avoiding the spikers and the crab meats becomes tough at first, so it's a bit annoying. Damn Octus. I'm not a fan of this level, nor do I think it was properly tested. For example, this. I got to a point where I was getting bored and remembered why I hate the homing attack in this game. Imagine homing attack backwards. Imagine making forward progression only to use the homing attack and go backwards. Not even Sonic 4 Episode 1 does something this dumb. And then finally, we make it to Master Zik to finish Tropical Coast. Frozen Factory Zone is a place of possible hypothermia, but also good tunes, especially Act 1. It's a bit weird because I have to account for the ice physics and those snail blasters. Also the oil. The trick is to stay near a wall and go fast to jump over the oil, which that seems to be the only challenge. Everything else is easy to navigate, not even the Orbinauts caused much of an issue. Act 2 is tricky, and the snowball is actually really easy to get pushed off the level, even with these Yeti, bombs, and crab meats. Also the fact that you have to go through checkpoints to activate it. I found that one out the hard way. I kept hitting this Yeti here, and there was really no way to slow myself down, so I have to use the warp one more time. Then some more slow navigation through the Yeti and Cluckoids. From there, I managed to get pushed off by an even bigger Yeti. Then, this section with the 2 big Yeti. It had to be the most annoying level so far, so once again, in common Knuckles Channel 3 and Knuckles tradition, I was overthinking it. I just had to go about as fast as I can without falling off the edge. And at last, the battle with Xena. Moving on. You got a land device here, better plop a casino. Act 3 is another really easy level. There are a few Badniks, but the real obstacles are the lasers, so we can just keep going. Act 4. Where do I begin? The beginning has some enemies that I have to damage boost past, that being the Orbinaut and the Ballahog. After that, the 3D section wasn't much of an issue. The 2D section that follows is also not very difficult. There are just some sections where you need to time it just right. I guess the rest of the level isn't much, now that I think about it. The last 2D section is honestly a lot of fun to go through, but it does feel really automated. After beating Xena, we're done here. Silent Forest Zone Act 1 isn't much until you get to the tarantulas. This is a section where you have to defeat them to continue, so I have to warp. The next part is simple, but I do need to get my jumps right. Hey, that homing attack ruins things again! Anyways, it's not too bad until I see another group of tarantulas. Big ups to the wings for existing. I then finished the level after avoiding Tonburs and the surprise crocodiles. Act 2 got really tough at this section with the dragonfly and the spike balls. I either had to defeat the dragonfly or get knocked into the abyss by the spike ball, so I chose to warp again. I'm gonna get back to that in a moment. The next section is a little heavy on Badniks with slicers and mush meanies. I eventually died trying to go over this larger ball hog. Oh right, I got a game over trying to burn lives for the warp. I went back to that dragonfly and decided to try something. Damage boost by hitting the spikes on the platform I'm currently on, then try to hop over the dragonfly to get to the next platform, and it worked. It actually wasn't far from the checkpoint anyways. Now, back to the ball hog. I actually managed to make it over it and use the magenta wisp to get to the next section. The last real obstacle is this group of 5 dragonflies, and sadly that's too far of a jump for me to take, so I'm going to have to warp again. Then it's the fight against Zor. Zor? Okay. Act 3 was actually pretty easy until I forgot how the level was designed. Aside from that, it's actually easy to get to the very end, with the exception of these 3 cluckers. Unfortunately, damage boosting will not get you through them. And I'm not very good at wall running, so I decided to use the warp again. I'm taking the safe route on this one. Now, I'm just gonna say this. I hate Silent Forest Act 4. The first section isn't bad. It does require 3 damage boosts, though I believe there is an easier approach. Actually, I know there's an easier approach. The next area was a problem. You have to use the drill wisp, and there are some machines that would spawn the path to continue. However, this area also has burrow bots, so to avoid potentially destroying these burrow bots, I have to use the warp. Then there's this mess. I either damage boost through the orbonauts or through the crawl. Either one has a chance of death. Next is the area that will go dark after a set time, and I come across this group of 3 buzz bombers over a pit. Now, I'm sure if I tried it, I could actually make that jump, but with where I was at with this level, it wasn't happening. Thankfully, the next checkpoint wasn't very far, so I warped to it, and then there's this area with 2 crawls. Thank goodness for the spring that was next to the top one, otherwise this was going to be a nightmare. After that, the fight with Zor happens, and it's finally over. I have never burned through so many lives to try to get through a level like this. 40 minutes in this one level alone, and it wasn't from some kind of overthinking. I hate this place. Skyroad Zone Act 1 isn't bad, but does the homing attack really have to be this annoying? Then I have to use the warp again because of these giant caterkillers. I can't get through without defeating them, so I gotta warp. After that, it's more smooth sailing until I get to the Gustav turtle. I just decided to wing it and set myself up to lose a life if this thing actually hit me, which would allow me to use one more warp to end the level. Act 2, thankfully, has 0 badniks. You fight Zavok and you move on. Zavok. His name is Zavok. Can I just keep calling him Zavok? Fine, Zavok. Act 3 has so many turtloids, and it's also an auto-scroller. After a few checkpoints, there will be these blowfish transporters dropping egg ponds, so I had to damage boost through some of them to avoid dropping on top of them, which is actually really easy to do. Then there's a fight with a giant blowfish transporter, and sadly there's no way to avoid it, because there's no capsule at the end of the level. Using the warp doesn't work, but fortunately, it requires multiple hits and releases no animals. Feels kind of weird to continue on a technicality, but I'll do it. Part 4 looks intimidating as hell, but honestly, it just requires a little bit of patience to get through. But since we're bringing up Act 4, I actually went through this Orbonaut, and I'm still trying to figure out how that even happened. I mean, I'll take it. I'm supposed to be taking damage from it, but it just let me through it. Then it's the fight with Zavok to finish Skyroad Zone. Lava Mountain Zone Act 1 is a boss rush against Zaz, Zamam, and Master Zik. Act 2 is another on-rails level, but it gets stupid hard with the bomb carts since they're really close to these nebulas, and unfortunately, it's impossible. If I try to double jump, I'm going to end up homing attack one of them, or all of them. After a warp, it's smooth sailing until I get to another section of bomb carts, because there's more badniks around them. The sad part is that it's a group of buzz bombers that makes this one jump impossible. So I need to warp again. A little bit more and the level comes to an end. Act 3 is another boss rush, but between these bosses there are little obstacles that are filled with different badniks. The difficult part in the beginning is the small platform surrounded by spikes. After that is this lava nightmare. I originally warped to fight Xena. The next part starts and attempting to correct my jump sent me right into another game over. Once I got to this level again, I avoided warping this time. Since there were no badniks here, there wasn't much of a problem anyways. Now back to the area where I died, and again, not a lot of badniks in the way, and the 2D section isn't that bad either. It only has lava and rock hazards. That is until I got stuck at this one slicer. Sadly, it's not easy to get around this thing. One warp later, and I'm at the fight against Zor. After that, my attempt to make a slight change in direction landed me into another game over. Cool. Now that I'm back at this section, if you don't want to deal with the green wisp, my recommendation is to run along the top of this fence. I think it might even be faster. Then I get to the last 2D section, which has 0 badniks in it, thank goodness. And then it's the fight with Zavok. Hey look, after seeing this fight, can you blame me? Anyways, I hate this fight, but it's finally over. Speaking of finally, Act 4 is a fight against Dr. Eggman to wrap up the game. So, can you beat Sonic Lost World without defeating a Badnik? The answer is yes. I know some of you will accuse me of cheating because I used the warp power-up to skip impossible sections, but I did say any means necessary outside of external cheat engines and things of that nature. I have a feeling I could have gotten away with fighting the Gustav Turtle, but I wanted to defeat as little as possible in this run. And I'll be honest, I enjoyed the breaks that I was given when there was little to no Badniks. It actually allowed me to enjoy the game as much as I can for as little as I actually enjoy Sonic Lost World. So there's that. I don't necessarily enjoy Sonic Lost World, but I don't think it's a horrible game. I really think Sega could take another crack at this and improve on it. That's my thoughts on Sonic Lost World. Or at least the abbreviated thoughts I've had on Sonic Lost World. If you really want me to go into it even further, that's another video for another time. As for what's next, I actually haven't thought of that yet, but when I figure it out, I'll be sure to let you know. I might go with a game that's of a shorter length just to get another video out a bit sooner, and at this point, this is where I no longer am reading off a script. To be fair, for the last couple of sentences, I've been going a little loose with the script. I just want to thank you all for your patience. I know I say that a lot because it does take me forever to get these videos out. Mainly, the biggest thing has just been motivation to actually finish these videos, and it's kind of given me a chance to look at the channel and see exactly where I can take it with this content. I know this is not very fitting and would probably be better suited for an update, but I know a lot of my viewers watch this video, so at the very least, you know, the challenge is over and I can say what I need to at this point. I've been thinking about the future of the channel. I've been thinking about like content for the future of this channel, and it seems like that the stuff that originally brought some people to this channel, such as Sonic Media Mod showcases, the fan game showcases, and stuff like that, might be a thing of the past here. The biggest reason is because I'm not motivated to make those kind of videos anymore. They do not bring out the creativity that I once had for them. They don't bring out the satisfaction that I had when I would finish one. It honestly feels like every video that has been coming out in the past couple of months have been just a by the numbers video, and honestly, I don't like that. I have not been enjoying them whatsoever, so I need to make a change. Whether that means covering Sonic mods in a different way, or if it means bringing out more scripted content such as Without Defeating a Badnik, because these are actually a lot of fun to put together. Like, sure, the editing is boring as hell and it's tedious, but actually going through the challenge and writing down my experience with it, it's a lot of fun. I am going to try and get better at writing scripts. I know I've been criticized for the script writing and the pacing and the general pacing of the video, so I will improve that as I go along. I'm still always learning. I'm still always growing. If I need to, I will ask friends of mine to take a look at the script and help me improve on them if I really need to do that. I don't see gameplay videos coming back, at least for the time being. They might come back as a one-off or something, but I think now is a good time to finally move on from the gameplay videos and to bring out more creative, not really creative, but videos that are a bit more satisfying. And I should honestly stop this update right now, just because I am kind of rambling on, and this is a video about Without Defeating a Badnik. So that'll do it. If you enjoyed the video and you aren't subbed yet, throw me a bone, click subscribe, click the bell icon. It helps get new videos to you when they release, and it also lets me know that you're going to be getting these videos if you choose to sub and click the bell icon. It's a win for both of us. I would also recommend following me on Twitter for updates as well, and if you want more content to watch, I have a second YouTube channel for Let's Plays, and I stream up to 3 days a week on my Twitch TV page. Links are in the description. I also want to give a huge shout out to my channel members. Their names are on screen right now, and I also want to give a huge apology to them. I haven't really updated them on stuff like this, and I think it's unfair to them. Not only am I sorry, but I'm very grateful that you are supporting my channel. So until next time, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you for the next Without Defeating a Badnik. Have a wonderful and safe day. Take care.